Alright, so we got an opportunity to test out some e-bikes on this trip. We've got the QuietKat Apex and the Rydon Goat series. I do want to start with a disclaimer of the Rydon is a new bike, the QuietKat is a used bike. So some of our experiences could be a little skewed because of that. I don't want to get a lot of the specs wrong, so we'll make sure we throw those up either in the description or somewhere up here on the video. But some of the differences between the two: the Rydon has a bigger battery than the QuietKat, so the gearing system is different. The QuietKat has a SRAM on it and the Rydon has a Shimano, and then the Rydon has a headlight and I think a tail light system if we took the strip out for the batteries to start working. But aside from that, they're pretty identical. They have the same motor and gear in it. They use the same throttle, the same power, the same screen. Pretty much similar bikes. The frames are different, the paint job's different, but
pedals are the same. Like, there's so much similarity between the two.
The QuietKat has a wider handlebar. The Rydon has a smaller handlebar, so you can go down some skinnier terrain with it. They handle pretty well going up some hills and stuff, but you definitely start to slip the tires a little bit if you're going up something too steep. But they're fun, they're quiet, they're really quiet.
I think the weight is very similar. I don't know if you said that already, but the weight of them is very similar. That's one thing that was surprising to me, because I've lifted a lot of bicycles, and then you lift these and it's like, that's like twice what a normal bike weighs at least.
Yeah,
but I think they're both about the same in weight. I do like the paint job on the QuietKat better. I like the camo, but
yeah, aesthetically between the two, I think the frame and the paint job on the QuietKat is a little more appealing, but I like the Rydon better because the QuietKat, to get to the bike, it's an internal battery. The Rydon, you can just pull the battery off, so that kind of affects the aesthetics a little bit, but it's easier for you to use. But the paint job is kind of cooler. I'll go over my experiences with them first, give you my opinions, and then Austin can do his too. I've rode both. Overall, I like the Rydon more. It has 5 different speed settings, and that thing in number 1 can do what the QuietKat can in 3. It feels like it's a lot more responsive, it's got a lot more power and more torque to it. It takes less energy to get up some hills. It's more comfortable in the seat. I think I like the narrow handlebars better. I feel like it's a little easier to kind of control. A lot more fun. The QuietKat, I think the one thing it's got it beat on, in my opinion, is I like the brakes on the QuietKat more. They feel more responsive. So if you're trying to roll down a hill, you can just crawl down it really easy. They're real responsive brakes. But if I had to pick a bike, one of these two to take home, I'd take that Rydon in a heartbeat. I like that bike a lot more than like the QuietKat.
Yeah, I'm just pretty much gonna echo what he said. I noticed that the Rydon has way more power up front, especially in like the 1 and 2 stages. It's pretty quick. We even raced it against my mini bike, and I think Jameson would have smoked me if he would have tried just a little bit harder.
I smoked you on the jump, but then we came up to a turn, and I don't want to lay that thing down, so I let off the
I just kept it hammered. But
yeah, it beat his little mini bike, his gas power bike.
Yeah, the torque on him is crazy. The upfront speed and the upfront power is just crazy. I think the only issue with going up hills is you just don't weigh enough, so you don't get the traction that you can on a motorcycle. So you start spinning, you can't quite go up some of these hills. But with that, there's a walk function that you just hold the button, you walk next to it, and it'll walk itself up the hill as you walk next to it. So it's really not a big deal. You just got to get off and walk up some of these steeper hills. But I think they're crazy. I'd like to have them for more time to see what range they really can do on the batteries, and maybe clock like how many miles you really can get out of it.
Yeah, we haven't been able to test that yet. We haven't been in an area that we can use these in a lot of places, so we haven't really been able to test those batteries, and we don't want to get into a spot and find out that we can't get back out, so we haven't really been able to test it yet.
Especially where we're borrowing them. We don't want to go too crazy on them.
With them not being my bike, I don't want to push them too hard.
But I mean, overall, I think I like the Rydon better. I would say I'd need more time to say for sure, but the Rydon's, it's got more power up front, it's faster. I think it's just a cleaner bike. I like how the front tire comes off. That was a huge thing that saved us yesterday. We were trying to go to a trail to test them out, and we couldn't fit them all in my truck, and so we had to fit one in the 4Runner, and we couldn't fit the QuietKat in there, and then we realized that the Rydon has a quick detach on the front tire, so you can drop that front tire and put them in like a 4Runner or something.
Yeah, it saved you space.
So that saved our butt yesterday, or else we wouldn't even taken them yesterday.
Yeah. So far though, both batteries have lasted a lot longer than I was anticipating. We've charged them, I think, once.
We didn't even really need to.
No.
We just did it to top them off.
Yeah, we just did it to make sure. But we've cruised around on it. We put a few miles on them, and they're doing really well.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. One thing with Idaho, though, that I don't know if we need to say this, but one thing with Idaho is, like, in Idaho, it doesn't matter if it's electric or gas, it still counts as motorized. And so with spring bear hunts, these are completely okay. You can take them wherever you want, but fall deer hunts, these are still going to be considered a motorized vehicle from what I understand. So make sure to just check your regulations before you go buying them, and make sure that you understand the laws and rules.
Yeah, that's a good talking point. Like, no matter where you're at, you should double check that an e-bike is going to fit your need, because they'll get you in a lot of places, but there's a lot more regulation coming down on those.
Yeah.
Now you can change them, like you can change the systems from like a class 1 to a class 3, but most places are now considering them just a motorized thing, so you don't want to buy one with the anticipation of taking them into like a wildlife management area and then not be able to use it. So make sure you read your regulations before you buy one. But they're sweet. They're really fun. If you're at one of the expos and you see the Rydon booth, go check them out. They're worth talking to Tucker. He's really good dude. So, but that's it. That's our review. If you guys have any questions, comments, or any thoughts on these bikes, leave it in the comments down below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to us. And as always, get lost in the adventure. Okay, so I'm editing this video right now, and I realized Austin and I forgot to point out one of the key features in comparing these two bikes. The Rydon costs $4,000, and that's for everything it has on it. The headlight, the tail light, the more comfortable seat, the different gearing system, only $4,000. The QuietKat, at the time that it was purchased, I believe was closer to $7,000. The closest I could find was a similar model right now on their website for, I think it's $5,600. So about $1,600 more, but you're getting less features out of it. So I think that's a very important thing to add to this comparison that I forgot to. I'll throw it on the specs, but with the rest of this in mind, just know that price difference. That might help you make a decision. I know for me, just price alone, I would probably choose the Rydon because I'm a cheap person, I've got a young family, and so anything higher than that to me feels a little ridiculous. But I wanted to hop on real quick, share that with you guys because I want to make sure we get all the facts out there on this video. Thanks.